Hello again. Either the leader of Ireland is an ignorant fool, or he is a deliberate and cold-blooded liar. These are the only two possible conclusions after reading of the speech which he gave in Boston last week. In it, he claimed that St. Patrick, the patron saint of Ireland, was a migrant who arrived in Ireland after leaving Britain of his own free will. This is completely false. According to Patrick's own account, he was living in Britain at the age of 16 when he was seized by slave traders and taken to Ireland. One assumes that Leo Varadkar, the Prime Minister of the Irish Republic, has never bothered to find out anything about his country's patron saint, or that he knows full well the true story and wishes to conceal it by telling lies about the matter. I give a link in the description to this video both to St. Patrick's own story of how he was captured, along with thousands of others, as he says, and taken to Ireland against his will. I also give a link to a news item which mentions what the Irish Prime Minister is telling Americans about this. A migrant, of course, is a person who, of his or her own choice, travels from one place to another, often in search of work or better living conditions. That was not at all the case with St. Patrick. Ireland has, of course, a long history of trading in slaves. The slave trade in that country lasted for centuries longer than the transatlantic slave trade, which is perhaps why the Irish Prime Minister didn't wish to talk of it. It began during the time of the Roman occupation of Britain and continued until the Norman conquest of England in 1066. First the Irish ran the slave trade, and then later the Vikings used the country as a base for their own slaving activities. Dublin, the capital city of Ireland and iconic symbol of the Irish struggle for independence during the Easter Uprising in 1916, was founded on the trade in English slaves, as too were Waterford and Limerick. In other words, those three cities were slave trading bases that grew into cities. Apart from St. Patrick, St. Bridget of Kildare, Ireland's other patron saint, was, according to tradition, the daughter of a slave. Amusingly enough, Bristol was a centre for this trade in slaves who were exported to the markets in Ireland. A contemporary writer described the scene at the Bristol slave market in the early 11th century. You could see and sigh over rows of wretches bound together with ropes, young people of both sexes whose beautiful appearance and youthful innocence might move barbarians to pity, daily exposed to prostitution, daily offered for sale. I can't help wondering whether or not we should be approaching Ireland for some compensation or reparations for being the victim of the Irish slave trade for centuries in this way. I find all this a little amusing because of those idiots who pulled down that statue in Bristol and threw it in the harbour obviously knew nothing of the history of Bristol, nor of the role which the Irish played in turning it into a slave trading port 500 years before the start of the transatlantic slave trade. As I say, the Prime Minister of Ireland is either an ignorant fool who knows nothing of his country's history, or he does know and is lying on purpose.